Hello everyone, all hope you have very much quite a wonderful, great morning indeed, guys, and also quite a very beautiful morning indeed, guys, as well. So for actually that I'm actually wearing the jersey, I'm just wearing the jersey just to cover up the clothes that the t-shirt that I'm actually wearing from the previous day, which was on Monday. So either way, guys, I'm just wearing the jersey just in case. Anyway, regardless of that, guys, I appreciate your support. I'm very grateful, guys, for having your support in everything else that you're quietly doing in my channel. It means completely a lot to me, especially from shorts and from TikTok, and from those of you subscribing, and from those of you in long videos in YouTube. Your support to me means completely a lot to me. Like and subscribe to Billy's channel in YouTube and as well in TikTok. You would very much quietly appreciate that. But as always, he does forever gratefully appreciate your guys' support. Means tremendously a lot to him as well. Means tremendously a lot to him as well. With that exactly being said, take good care of yourself and keep pushing. You guys got this, and you believe in me as I believe in you as well. And enjoy the rest of your day. It's sunny and it's quietly warm, so yeah, I don't know. I thought that it was going to be a bit colder today, but we'll see as the day goes on. Either way, guys, take good care of yourself. Keep pushing, keep shining your light. You guys got this. I believe in you. Like and subscribe to Billy's channel in YouTube and in TikTok. It was so very much quite appreciated. May you have a blessed day and stay happy and stay strong. With that being said, let's move forward to schedule. On today's episode, we're to speak about the kings and queens of the entire sacred magic universe. They have their own magical empires and kingdoms under their very control that they've been actually ruling them for the past few centuries and millennia during the ancient magical wars, ancient magical battles, trials, and ancient magical wars, battles, and trials, and victories over sinister battles and over villainous monsters, over villainous magical creatures and beings, and ancient dark sorcerers and wizards and powerful, evil, dark, mysterious tyrants who were trying to conquer the entire sacred magic universe during the oppression of the Shadow Empire and during the age when the original Little Magic was in power as well, which in other words, they were trying to challenge the original Little Magic's power and the Shadow Empire's true power as well within that time, which was an age of disrupted chaos and friction and more power and more the balance of power. The fabric of the balance of power was quietly untapped, and it was quietly remained untapped and also remained out of control and out of balance as well. That the magical kings and queens were forced to make an alliance to one another, to joining forces and to aiding each other against their greatest respective adversaries and obstacles that were trying to disturb and disrupt the ancient peace and the ancient treaties that the entire forefathers and ancestors have fought for the past few ancient centuries and millennia as well. So with that exactly being said, let's move forward straightly to the episode. During the ancient ways of the sacred magic universe, the kings and queens of the entire sacred magic universe all exactly precisely reconvene within an ancient magical war room cave, which houses an ancient magical energy through it, and it's an ancient powerful magical war room cave where the powerful holograms of the different types of color, purple color hologram, green color hologram, and powerful projectile energy astral projection hologram of each representative leader of the respective kingdoms and worlds. During at that time, the representative great resistance of the magical fairies, witches, druids, and faithful and four nation hunter and wizards, and the warlocks, and also the fire hunter, and also the seven nation hunter, and also the six nation hunter, the two nation hunters, all exactly precisely reconvene with them as well in order to discuss the formalities of stopping the evil, dark forces of evil that are actually trying to take control of the entire secret magic universe. All the kings and queens exactly thought that it's best to form an alliance with their respective magical kingdoms and their worlds in order to stopping the ancient magical wars from spinning out of control, to which the resistance quietly agreed with that'll be the right alternative way to stopping the ancient magical wars, that they managed to stop the sacred great nations wars from the other side of the entire sacred universe, on the other side of it. The other side of it means the sacred great nations has its own borders, and it has its own universal borders and ancient laws of their own, and such as the sacred magic universe has their own ancient laws and ancient rules of their own. So the two sides are completely in different distant dimensions, and in different distant worlds and distant dimensions and star systems. So separates them from different pocket universal dimensions, but they are still inside the same sacred universe, still inside of it, but in different distant distant proxies away from each other as well. Either way, they all precisely agreed on that point of view, and they thought it's best to continue the alliance just for now as well. During the next ancient following centuries, the great dark wizards waged a huge barbaric war against the dark, mysterious fairy witches on a pursuit, all in an ancient pursuit for power and dark crystals they were trying to exactly contain. The great resistance and the great forces of all the other magical kingdoms were forced to stopping these forces from obtaining these ancient crystals and these ancient powers of these crystals, to which they successfully succeeded. The battle between good and evil waged on, and they definitely exactly succeeded in driving the ancient threat away as well. Near to the ancient century, the ancient magical kingdoms of the kings and queens all reconvene on an ancient magical kingdom known as the Stone Kingdom, to where they all exactly met up with the Stone King, who exactly gave them a very, very intriguing proposition and exactly told them about the ancient organization known as the Known Ones that are quietly founded and led by Luke Ghost. Remember Luke Ghost, who's a founder and leader of the Known Ones. His organization is very, very quietly highly different and highly sufficient, formidable organization of rogue, evil, sadistic, fortune hunter operatives and assassins, to which they gave particular aid to the Stone Kingdom King, to where the Stone Kingdom King exactly told the magical queens and kings of their respective allies to join forces with him in order for them to create a coup d'etat that can overthrow, in order for them to create a coup d'etat that could consistently overthrow the fire elders of the fire hunters away from the respective borders of controlling the power clan leadership and the great sinister energy clan from its true proximity power. Realizing that this coup could create another alternative civil ancient war, they withdraw the proposition and told the Stone King that he should do the same by withdrawing the offer of the Known Ones before Luke Ghost uses the offer to protecting the entire Four-Nation Hunter homeland, all in a pursuit of trying to create a peaceful serenity reality that the Four-Nation Hunters could be the ones on top rather than giving the power to all the creatures to making them on top as well. But the Stone King refuses to listen on reason, realizing that this alternative could create another war that he's been waiting for the past few ancient centuries as well. During the next middle centuries, the great magical queens and kings reconvene on an ancient magical temple, which houses the central headquarters of the ancient ancestor stones, houses an ancient stones of their previous ancestors and of their forefathers, even the forefathers of the sacred great nations, were all exactly able to reconvene in the century themselves as well, and within the ancient chamber, housing ancient mythical paintings of ancient powers, magical abilities, gifted warlock and warlords, and Shadow Empire ancestors who fought for power and control, describing how Shadow energy can be manipulated and how Shadow energy comes with different aspect of its higher price and its true immortality rate as well. During which, on that particular time, they all precisely agree that Luke Ghost is a very powerful, formidable leader of this precise ancient formidable organization known as the Known Ones, and he's proving himself to willing to do whatever it takes to protecting the Four-Nation Hunter homeland and giving them more power, and by by creating more threats, and also by subduing more threats and obstacles that would dare threaten the future of the Four-Nation Hunters. And all the queens exactly agree that it's time for the entire sacred magic universe to withdraw its resources from the entire sacred great nations in order to stopping a war that could literally arrive on their very footstep, which they cannot afford it. The other kings exactly thought that it's best to not withdraw their forces from the fire hunters or from the power elders, since they're the ones also in power of deciding the military might of each respective kingdom and of each respective clan, of each respective Four-Nation Hunter, Seven-Nation Hunter, or great 112 Nation Hunters as well, to which they all precisely agree that that is the alternative that they'll want to take. Then let them take that alternative while they all defend their respective worlds, colleagues and colleges and magical colleges and schools from being attacked by mysterious forces of evil, from the great dark witches or from the great dark druids, wizards, and unknown forces of evil such as supervillains, criminals, and deadly sinister operatives that are willing to seize power in ancient objects and ancient weaponry or crystals, or ancient weaponry or crystals, or different types of material energies that they might seek to further their ancient dark purposes and goals as well, to where they all definitely agree on that presumption as well. Near to the end of the great century, there was an energy, there was a nano energy civil war against power and against energy, to where the great technological race known, the great technological race of the magical kingdom, known as the nanotech race, was forced to intervene, making sure that the nano energy, making sure that the ancient power of nano energy research, nano energy research could not resurface to the human society. But they discovered that it was really quite too late when the white scientists had already received all the knowledge they needed about nano energy and about its true power, to making themselves immortal godlike beings, to which the great king of the technological kingdom exactly told his forces to destroy the research before it became a higher danger to all of them. But by the time they tried to destroy the research, the great ice witches arrived within the entire magical realm of the technological world and created nothing but an ice storm shell, and nothing but an ice storm shell of a stormy weather, throwing it out of chaos and out of despair, changing all the weather perimeters and all the technological androids to be fighting up against its citizens rather than to defending them themselves. The fire hunters and the great formation hunter scouts and all the other supernatural creatures were forced to intervene, to taking matters into their own hands, to which they did exactly precisely do so. The battle between good and evil waged on until the ice witches realized that they were completely outmatched and outnumbered, and they thought to withdraw, leaving nothing but a snowstorm of a shower to cover up their disappearance as well. As a great nanotech king realized that the threat that they're quietly facing is quietly brutal, and that he thought that it's time for his people to make a discussion with the Stone King as well. Near to the end of the century, all the magical kings and queens were able to reconvene on a magical cave, which houses another magical energy of their own projection, which is a meeting place for them, only to have a meeting place for chamber of themselves, where in private way they discuss their own problems and their own issues, realizing that the sacred magic universe is quietly facing larger turmoil and larger threats than ever before, to which the other magical queens exactly told the other magical kings that it'll be a wiser decision to back up the resources from the four nation hunter elders and from all the other sacred hunters of the sacred universe, rather to ensuring the power and status of the magical diplomatical status must remain protected at all costs, not to inviting threats or ancient sinister criminal organization that would abuse that power and use it for their own evil goals and for their own evil purposes. They all exactly precisely agreed, but the Stone King exactly still told them they must join forces with the known ones, or they will either be forced to suffer the consequences and foresee the consequences themselves that they cannot even take them back or try to erase them back, which will be a harder way, which will be the hardest thing that they'll be able to be forced to do. To where they all precisely agree that that decision of joining the known ones will be the most painful decision ever. To where they all decided to back down on that as well. After that, the projections of themselves disappeared within the ancient caves as well. On the actual precise day on the very day on the 15th of February, when the mighty universal defending heroes disappeared during the great battle against a dark evil ancient force from another unknown universe that was trying to come back to conquer the known universe, that was trying to come back to conquer the known universe and the entire sacred universe itself. The forces of the Shadow Empire, warlords and commanders, wage war against each other. Warlords and pirates and all sinister dark druids and magical witches tried to seize power for themselves. The Stone King's forces and army took the advantage of exploiting the power vacuum within the Shadow Empire by trying to create inside operatives and spies within its very border. And when the Stone King realizes that the plan worked well, his exploitation of the Shadow Empire power vacuum gave him power and gave him more destructive technology than he can ever realize as well on that very precise day, to which it granted him the opportunity he needed to exploiting the power and to taking advantage of it in a very faster way than ever possible, due to the disappearance of the universal heroes, to which he was able to gain higher precision attacking, to gaining the technology and its higher resourceful technology as well within the Shadow Empire, during which the Shadow Empire warlords and commanders saw their allegiance and their loyalty to the Stone King and to his entire kingdom and an empire vowing that they'll provide him with more endless elite technology and with more higher graphic technology beyond anything he's never imagined. In return, he will provide them with the energy of the tech that he has and with the energy of the elemental magical force tech and weaponry that his people have been creating and building for the great Phoenician hunters and for the great fairies and for the great fairies and witches and all the protectors they've been giving them for the past few millennial centuries, to which they all seem highly impressed about that as well. On the actual 7th of on the actual 7th of March, the entire magical kingdoms and kings and queens were able to reconvene on the same ancient headquarters of a cave to where in a powerful holographic projection of themselves to discussing the downfall of the original Lord of Magic, realizing that the stakes are higher than ever before, and they were quietly told that the members of the Universal Magic Heroes are now standing by on their side, protecting the entire sacred magic universe from being destroyed and from suffering a catastrophic fate. Realizing that the odds are quietly not exactly evenly matched with them, the other kings exactly decided it's best to join forces with the members of the Universal Magic Heroes and give them the resources they need. Where the other queens exactly thought so, that would be the best and wise decision as well. On the actual precise day of the 6th of April, the Stone King was able to meet up with Luke Ghost on his stone chamber, in his ancient stone chamber beneath, where he was able to reconvene with Luke Ghost, where he and the fire hunter leader and the ice hunter leader and the water hunter leader and a dark shadowy astral projection of an unknown mere reflection of a different person began to appear, exactly explaining to the conspirators and to his allies that the preparations that they wanted to go on have now taken a different toll, and it means that things are escalating far worse than they ever wanted, and that their plan is now taking a huge phase of its true direction. Luke Ghost exactly reassured the Stone King that the plan is going accordingly the way it was meant to be rigged by many years ago and by many centuries ago. In other words, it has saved them the time and the necessary aspect for them to begin the full mission of their true purpose. In the meantime, they should tell the other of their respective leaders and members to begin the full counterattack in making sure that the United Heroes stay down. While the astral projection showed a holographic image of Mr. X becoming a high-ranking member of an ancient criminal organization known as the Founder, since he was able to hold up the entire position as the United Nations ambassador, and using his position to abusing his power and making sure that the founders remain on top in order to making sure that the members of the United Heroes stay out of the way, in order to abusing them, in order to creating a powerful restriction. Luke Ghost exactly reassured the members that Mr. X won't pose a threat to their goals because he is more highly concerned and worried about the members of the United Heroes, and that's where his obsession is, and that is to their advantage. To where the Stone King agreed, then it's time to level up the game and abuse that power against him, and in order to blindside the members of the Universal Heroes allies, to where they all precisely agreed that'll be the wise strategic move, to blindsiding them to where they'll never even see it coming from a close, higher perspectivity of the attack as well. On the actual day of the 17th of May, the magical queen was able to actually enter her entire water kingdom chamber, to where she spoke with the rest of her civilians on the central headquarters of her kingdom, and exactly reassured the council that the war between good and evil is quietly spiraling out of control, with the new Lord of Magic known as Lord Jet and his new enlightened colleagues of his powerful super villain members are beginning to reclaim their power and to fulfilling the legacy of the original Lord of Magic. The council exactly told the magical queen that it's best if the entire kingdom of her empire steps aside and allow the dragon race of Dragon Ball, since he's a full high-ranking member of the United Heroes, the full high-ranking member of the Universal Heroes, to take leadership of the dragon race, rather than to allowing the dragons to wiping out the enemy and the obstacle that might dare literally oppose them. But the queen exactly advises the elders that the power elders will not allow such a threat to taking such a huge obligation, in order not to stopping it before it can fully rise and assume its true dictatorship of power. To all the other council members begin to agree, then it's best for them to step aside and see how the situation will unfold, whether they will intervene when the time gives it so. To they all precisely good on that as well. On the actual precise 18 of June, the Stone King was able to meet up with his stone console on his great ancient chamber. To it houses ancient fictional paintings about how the Stone King's ancestors and predecessors were able to form an ancient alliance with the Shadow Empire warlords and with the ancient group of the Shadow Empire warlords, ancient group known as the Shadow Five, to where they all work together to fulfilling the ancient goal and the ancient mission, and with an ancient criminal human organization of powerful masterminds within human society who also decided it's best to combine their resources together with the ancient magical race, with the ancient magical kingdom empire of the Stone King as well. During the assembly, the Stone King began to reassure his people and reassure the council that he has the situation perfectly under control. All he needs to do is gather more power and more resources. One council member exactly told him that the alliance with the Shadow Empire warlords that they had with them for many centuries has still managed to remain strong and still managed to remain strong. It still has managed to remain stronger than ever before, giving them endless power and endless resources. The only thing they should do now is purposely to wipe out the members of the Universal Magic Heroes. After that, the entire magical kingdom with the rest of the entire sacred magic universe will collapse, as long as it will pave a way for the dark magic users to begin their conquest of attacking and obtaining more power. Then they will intervene when the situation gives them the purpose to intervene as well. To where the Stone King precisely agreed on them that they will do that in due time. They must wait and at least plan a higher proficiency plan that will lay a way or pave a way for them to remaining in power. To where they all precisely agreed on that as well. On the actual precisely of the 9th of August, the great wooden king was able to reconvene with the four national hunter elders on their respective homeland, which is after all the city homeland, which is quite like a huge magnificent city that houses ancient magical crystals symbolizing power and great energy of detecting monster energy or dark sinister energy from another unknown dimension or from another unknown nation creature that dare threatens the peace of its entire civilization or either monument as well. The Wooden King from the Wooden Magical Kingdom exactly told and advised the Fornish and the elders that they need to exactly think carefully before they form the alliance with the Stone King, realizing that he's quietly become too compromised and that he's easily working with the enemy. It would be wise for them to withdraw their consent with their allies. To where the Fornish and the elders begin to agree, it's best if they can try to persuade the members of the Power Elders to making sure that they see reason in the Stone King's decisions, realizing that he's quietly making a powerful alliance with the leader of the known ones, who is now becoming a very powerful, unpredictable threat. To where he precisely agreed with them that it's best for them to withdraw the alliance with the Stone Kingdom and with the Stone King himself and with these people, because now they are the ones that are willing to take advantage of the situation and they're willing to join forces with their greatest enemy. To where they all precisely agree it's time for them to take matters into their own hands before the situation can do that for themselves as well. On the precise 18th of September, the mighty Stone King was able to reconvene with Luke Ghost on his respective headquarters of his ancient chamber, and exactly told Luke Ghost that according to their spies, the mighty Wooden King went straight to the 400 elders and he managed to completely speak out his truth despite concern. Luke Ghost exactly told the Stone King that is exactly what will happen, because they wanted it to happen the exact same way that it was meant to go ahead. Now that things are falling straightly into plan, Luke Ghost exactly told the Stone King to begin the mobilization of the forces, because now they're taking the battle straightly to the enemy and they're not going to show any mercy or no compassion when the attack begins its full occupation. After that, leave no one or any survivors alive. And this time, not even a cent of single survivors must be alive. The attack must go ahead according to plan. To where the Stone King precisely agreed on him on that sort of activity as well. On the actual precise day of the 20th of October, the Stone Army forces marched towards the entire unknown planets of the alien star system and began a full raging attack on the ancient villages that are quietly in close proximity with the sacred great nations and with the entire sacred magic universe itself, which created a huge entire slaughter. The universal magic heroes were forced to intervene head of way in order to stopping these armies from literally waging war, to which turned out into a supernatural blood-filled war of its own, realizing that the Stone Army forces possess more superior armor than anything else, with more gravity technology and with anti-gravity technology and with also with Shadow Empire technology. and with great crystal technology, and with great crystal technology and solar technology as well, the disadvantage that they had against the enemy was quite beyond anything else I've ever seen before. The entire members of the Universal Heroes Alliance was forced to show up there, including the Universal Founders and the Vampire Heroes, who quietly showed up there just in the nick of time to stopping the battle and the war from literally creating major disasters and major casualties, to which there were major casualties on both fronts as the Stone Army Forces General exactly told the forces to retreat and allowing the battle cruisers to destroy everything on the ground and to lay waste to everything else, to which it did. But thanks to Universal Magic Girls' to interference in creating a huge magical force bubble of an entire time of force bubble protection, dome of an ancient language, and of an ancient language was able to create and conjure in the nick of time to protecting the beam of the entire battle cruiser before it completely laid waste to everything else, saved all the entire inhabitants. But the Stone General Executive was quietly pleased that these heroes were very highly sufficient, and they were very highly organized at the right predicament time as well. On the actual 10th of November, the Stone General exactly reported back to the Stone King through a holographic projection on his central headquarters of his throne room chamber, to where he told the Stone King that the attack paid off and the members of the Universal Heroes took the bait, or rather the allies took the bait as anticipated and exactly protected the inhabitants as accordingly. Now the Stone King seemed very pleased. Now things are going according to plan, the way they are meant to go down, just as Luke Ghost predicted. On the actual 8th of December, the entire sacred magical kingdoms of the queens and kings reconvene on a different ancient magical chamber where wizards and warlocks and vampire elders and also the respective Phoenician elders of the Intergalactic Coalition all reconvene there through the magical astral projections of themselves, where some were sitting where the others were all standing, and they all precisely agree that the attack like this has drew their attention, and they all decided it's best to take the war straightly to the Stone King. But the other kingdoms exactly told the other magical kings and kings that the Stone King has proven to become powerful and truly dangerous, taking advantage of the chaos of the Shadow Empire and exploiting it for his own personal gain, and forming an alliance with the unknown masters of the Shadow Empire behind the scene, to which the elders of the four Nishandras of the Intergalactic Coalition exactly told the entire respective queens and kings that it's best for them to withdraw when the time is finally right, not whether the time has not finally hit. To where they all precisely agree that the truce and inevitability of creating the truce will be necessary whenever the time would occur. To where they all precisely agree that it's best not to allow the situation to fully disperse or not to allow it to fully explode. To where they share the same opinion that it's best for them to join forces with the Foreign Enchanter Intergalactic Coalition in aiding the members of the Universal Heroes on their respective mission as well. On the 12th of January, the Stone King and Luke Ghost and the other conspirators all reconvene on his stone ancient magical chamber on a private dark magical chamber, to where the dark shadowy astral projection of a dark shadow empire mastermind, shadowy criminal mastermind who was controlling the shadow empire for decades and for many centuries, unknown to the original Lord of Magic, to where he took the leadership of the shadow empire, whether he knew or whether Amber or the original Lord of Magic knew that there was an ancient criminal, powerful, ancient, formidable criminal organization that were full of sinister dark masters controlling the shadow empire for many centuries and for many decades before they even took leadership of the Shadow Empire. Whether they knew or whether they didn't know, I don't know if they knew or they quietly knew, but either way, they didn't exactly, I don't know if they didn't knew or knew, guys, so take it from me, I don't know if they did knew or whether they knew or not. Seemed quite a shocking surprise. One of the masters of the organization appeared through a dark shadowy reflection hologram and exactly reassured the Stone King and Luke Ghost and the other members of the conspirator that the planning that they planned worked well in their favor, until another magical queen reappeared through the chamber and exactly told them that their tactic served its purpose and it served its useful role after all, to where she purposely agreed with Luke Ghost that the tactical plan worked well. She told Luke Ghost to tell his operatives to be on the very site, near on the site of the entire magical kingdoms, and making sure that they have the abilities to blend in through environments without them being detected, through the camouflage and through the power to literally infusing themselves and merging themselves with the natural environments. Luke Ghost exactly reassured the Queen that everything else is really in place. All they have to do is allow the kingdoms to begin the full convening meeting, to where the next decision will begin its full preparation. On the 12th of February, the Phoenician Hunter elders and with the Wooden King begin to agree that sinister threats are now working together with other magical kingdoms, to which could create a problem and a huge confrontation, to where he precisely told the Wooden King that they will definitely share the resources together to aiding the members of the United Heroes in stopping the threats from the other side of the known universe and the threats from within humanity, without humanity knowing of their full interference, to where they precisely agreed that that'll be the wise choice and a wiser decision ever going forth as well. On the 20th of March, the magical kings and queens, all of them reconvened face to face in an ancient magical Phoenician hunter shrine chamber, where they all precisely agreed with the Phoenician hunter elders that it's time for them to join forces and that the threat is now beginning to take matters into its own hands. So they all precisely agreed to let go of all hatred and all feud that has been causing the friction among them, which gave the enemies and the leaders of the respective organizations to take advantage of that chaos. Two of the Phoenician hunter leaders and the representative of the Phoenician hunter of the Intergalactic Coalition exactly told them that'll be the wise decision and the best decision ever of all, because now the threats are making their full appearance and a new unknown evil is about to arrive in the game, to changing the rules of the game as well. To all the precise agree that the alliance is hereby formed as well. On the actual precise day of the 12th of March, the Stone King was able to reconvene with the Queen and with Luke Ghost on his respective laboratory ancient chambers, to where he exactly told them both that the plan and tactic worked well. Everything else is set for it to continue the way it was predicted. To where Luke Ghost exactly reassured the Stone King and the Queen, who was an unknown queen of an unknown magical kingdom, exactly reassured them that their partnership saved and paved the way for many more of the allies joining forces with them, which means that the alliance that they wanted to solidify has hereby been re-solidified and has hereby been reinstated, that it has remained the same since the following decades and the following centuries. Now they can move forward with the actual plan. A member of the ancient group of the Shadow Empire warlords known as the Shadow Five and an astral projection of one of the masters who were controlling the empire of the Shadow Empire for many decades reappeared from the shadows and exactly told them that they did exactly as they anticipated. Now the plan can begin. The full extermination of the universal heroes and the ruling and conquering all the sacred great nations will be theirs for them to exploit it. After that, humanity will be at the near end of their plans, after the heroes have tasted their own power and their own medicine. They will never see a blindside attack that they never anticipated, to where they all possess a good in that as well, guys. Despite that, guys, the ancient magical kingdoms and queens and kings are very powerful, very ancient, very noble, and very, very highly systematically skilled in a power of teleportation, giving life to other worlds, planets, civilizations, star systems, using magical energy projections, stone, water, earth, and also fire, electricity, lightning, baseable of natural elemental powers, wood, trees, controlling natural energies of wood and wind and stone and sand and all of those powers. They are very crafted, and the ancient kings and queens of the respective magical kingdoms all have infinite immortality and long gravity. They are very powerful. They all maintain their individual bases, chambers, and castles and temples and ancient central headquarters of laboratories, to which are scattered within their own very region, within their own borders, and some are quietly scattered within the fringes of the entire sacred great nation, others within unknown star systems and unknown worlds, unknown hideouts, all of that. But the central headquarters of the hideout is their chambers, where it houses ancient spiritual magical energy, to where it gives them more power than ever before, guys. The Stone King and the Wooden King are very powerful, formidable members and formidable kings of the entire respective nation and empires of their respective magical kingdoms. They've ruled it for many centuries and for many decades as well, forming the alliance with the Shadow Empire warlords and with the ancient groups of the organizations themselves as well, such as Luke Ghost and such as their respective kingdoms as well. The Wood King is very kind and very quietly honest, highly open, opinionated, and always forming an alliance with the members of the Universal Heroes allies, and always willing to join forces with them by providing them his wooden ancient technology and materials of ancient wooden magical powers and objects for them to wield and to use. It is thanks to these ancient magical kingdoms and nation that the 4 nation hunters and the 7 nation hunters and the 5 nation hunters were able to wield such massive great objects to fighting monsters, creatures, beings that come from the dark dimension, some that come from unknown mysterious dark dimension, some of the dark druids, witches who become hybrids, and some who become devastating abomination created by the original Lord of Magic and by his forces and by his apprentices and by his proteges, by the golden masters. That these weapons have proven to serve the useful major role in their mission to stopping the monsters of the dark dimension, from wreaking a large multitude of carnage and havoc. The great kings and queens of the respective magical worlds of the entire sacred magic universe do have one thing in common. They desire peace, harmony, and prosperity and love upon all other entire magical kingdoms, and they're willing to form the alliance with the Phoenician Hunter Elders for the past few centuries, and they've been remaining with them for past few millennia, centuries, even through the age when their ancestors and their predecessors joined forces with them, proving that they have forbidden ancient magical techniques and forbidden mysterious powers, ancient unknown natural power, natural disbalanced power, energy projection, yin and yang based powers, unknown supernatural powers, abilities, and immunities, weaknesses, powers, weapons, swordsmanship, even an army and huge armies at their disposal, to which they all have at their great disposal. And they have great druids, great witches, great faithful, magical colleges and schools of their own that they're protecting with their very magical borders and powers, symbolizing that they do need crystal weapons and crystal energy and crystal magic convergence in order to protecting their respective schools and their borders as well. They are very wise, open, and the elders of the entire respective magical kingdoms are very open, highly immortal, lived for thousands of centuries and millennia, having witnessed the first hand of evil and its true power and its true worth of devastation. They know the power of patience, resilience, and determination, and that they've led the kings and the queens to teach their own descendants and their own actual future generations to use their powers for the greater good. Very good environmental manipulation, energy manipulation, power manipulation, summoning, resurrection, revival, fairy connection, bonding energy connection with magical creatures, witches, summoning monsters from unknown dimension, mythical dimensional borders and gateways that they have at their sole control, which provides them more security, and monsters protecting those borders with their gods and with their rightful owners of the dark, with the rightful owners of the druids, warlocks, and witches who also serve them as their very backup. And some Phoenician Hunter Elders and their forces and the organization known as the Known Ones, which always serves as a backup to the Stone Kingdom, that the Stone King rules with an iron fist. Always he uses it and relies on the organization itself to benefit himself and to benefit his people and to benefit their common goal as well. Unbeknownst to the Phoenician Hunter Elders and to the respective kings and queens of the entire sacred magic universe, the Stone King and the great unknown king has formed a formidable alliance with Luke Ghost and with the other sacred council of the great conspirators, and also with the unknown masters of a powerful ancient organization that's been controlling the Shadow Empire for millennia and for many thousand centuries to come, to which